Welcome to Your Pharmacy Career Podcast, proudly produced by Ravens Recruitment, the experts in pharmacy career and locum services for over 30 years. Every episode is your gateway to new opportunities in the pharmacy profession. From expert advice to inspiring success stories, we're here to spark ideas, guide your career, and help you achieve your goals. Stay tuned. The next step in your pharmacy journey starts here.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Your Pharmacy Career Podcast. I am your host, Christy Lee Patterson, and I'm so excited to have you with us today. We are continuing with the theme of women in pharmacy, and we have Nancy Rostom on the show. Nancy is a Perth-based award-winning pharmacist, the founder of the Level Up Pharmacist Workbook, and an advisory board member of Hey Sister. Her journey in pharmacy is filled with incredible milestones, from mentoring future pharmacists to launching innovative educational initiatives. In today's episode, we'll explore Nancy's career journey, her dedication to mentorship, and the defining moments that shaped her leadership style. So let's dive in and welcome Nancy to the podcast. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And because it's 6 a.m. in Perth, I am an early riser, so I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. I was thinking of all the things that we want to talk about. So such an awesome moment for me. Great Friday.
Thank you so much for waking up so early so we can do this. I really appreciate it. So for those that are listening, I'm in Sydney, so it is only 9:20 a.m. A little bit nicer. Now, Nancy, let's start right at the beginning. And I ask this question to everyone. Why did you decide to become a pharmacist?
My journey in pharmacy first started with my wonderful dad, very ethnic parent that immigrated to Australia. And his dream is for both his daughters to be in healthcare. And he lived across the road from a pharmacy, and he always used to look at this pharmacy and say, one day I'm going to open a pharmacy. But he got into IT, so it was totally different. And he encouraged my sister and I to both get into pharmacy. And I thought to myself, it's an interesting career to get into, but I also wanted to do cardiology. I wanted to be a heart specialist. And I also love social media and marketing. So I thought I put marketing on my list of interests to get into uni and the set. And I also put in social science, and I put in psychology and sound engineering because I played music at the time and I was really interested in working in concerts, and I wanted to be on stage and tour with people and just be the sound engineer for all the audios. So I thought, you know what, why not put that on the list as well too? And when I was at school, I had a really good best friend that worked in a pharmacy. And I thought, okay, let me go visit her at the pharmacy. And then visited her in the pharmacy for the first time. I admired what the managers did, what other pharmacists were doing, talking to people, and how important they were in the link between making people feel better. Like they're the connecting link between the doctor and the patient. And they're the continuous reason why people are still on the same track. Like we keep them on track. They're their PT as in the health world, which is fantastic. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Pharmacy is awesome. Let's do it. And I put my application in, first choice pharmacist. And when I got pharmacy, I was stoked. I was over the moon. And then part of the condition that got me accepted to get into my first preference, which is being pharmaceutical science, was to work as a mentor for high school students. Because I got in based on a mentoring program that I undertook at school. And in return, I had to be a mentor for year 11 and year 12 students that want to get into uni, to encourage them to get into uni, and be a mentor then for year 1 pharmacy students and show them the ropes around uni and how to take down notes and how to remember everyone's names and their learning style. So it got even more interesting for me as well too. So it's such a big reason behind so many cool filters.
Yeah, that sounds so interesting. And I think we'll probably have to chat about some of those tips about how to remember people's names, because I am one of those people that I can remember faces. If I've met you once, 10 years later, I will recognize you, but your name, I'm so sorry, but I will not remember.
So they actually trained us how to remember all your students' names, and you had to say their name in a conversation 3 times and remember something about either what they're wearing on the day or where they're from or something that they're actively doing in that conversation, and say their name 3 times in a conversation, and that's it. It's stuck.
Okay, well, there you go. You heard it here first with Nancy. All of those people that struggle with names use it in a conversation 3 times. I'm definitely going to start practicing that. So, Nancy, you mentioned that you wanted to do all these different things before you wanting to be a pharmacist, like a sound engineer. Like, wow, that I didn't even know that was something that would exist. So it sounds like you also got a bit of a, I guess, a insight around business from your family as well. And has that kind of shaped your approach to how you have kind of navigated the industry, like from all of your passions with like marketing, sound engineering, business? Has that shaped how you approach being a pharmacist?
Absolutely, definitely, because I feel like it's very safe to say that we all have bills to pay and we all have mouths to feed and we all have financial responsibilities. And if your passion is something that's very authentic and very real and very driven, it has to still have a minor financial contribution aspect to it, because you are helping someone, but at the end of the day, if you don't get a reward for that help, being extremely authentic, you won't pay your own bills. So it's balance. It's trying to make sure that you are selling the customer the right products, but not just doing a large chips. This chips is going to be good for you because of 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to educate you about it as opposed to push it down your throat, because that creates a trusting bond. But at the same time, you are also going to still buy the product, and then I will still make a learning out of the benefits of that product before I sell it to you. So I'm personally growing in myself and my knowledge about different things that are available, but I also make money out of it as well. So it's this balance between authenticity and business and marketing and promoting health in general as well too, because now there's so many integrations with AI, especially with the AI mental health programs as well too, that could be taking a portion out of the financial cut, but it's extremely important to have someone to talk to and connect with, and that someone is on top of the latest products that are out there, the latest vitamins, is doing the training so that they know what's going to work with what best to feed that customer information. Firstly, secondly, give them the right products that they need, because you need to pay the bills as well.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, yeah, that's right. As you said, we all have mouths to feed. We have to be able to live in the world that we live in today. But I think we've only been chatting for such a short period of time, but I'm seeing a theme come through, and I think that's around education, right? I can see that that's your passion. It started out when mentoring those students, but then now with educating patients and customers on the right product and on their health. So I guess that was probably a natural transition for you to head into some academia roles. But then also I can see from a community pharmacist perspective, you educating the patients on what is right for them and increasing that health literacy. So yeah, has that inspired you to do a lot more things in that education space?
Extremely, extremely. I feel like the more we know about something, the better decision we'll be able to make about it, and the better guidance we'll have through it as well too. So I'm a huge believer by you rise by lifting others, and in my career, or in our pharmacy career, you rise by lifting other people's knowledge and awareness about healthcare. And if you've got a team, you rise by increasing their awareness about their self-confidence, their ability to connect to people, and educating them on what's new as well. And in your community in general, your duty towards them is to make them aware or educate them about the new viruses that are around, how to prevent them, avoid them, what are the latest government regulations. And then your duty to you as a person to elevate and be different from everybody else around you. You want to have an edge as well too. And that's how I started the mentoring program, because I thought, what's going to make people come to the pharmacy that don't normally come to the pharmacy? And firstly, secondly, how am I going to make a better next generation of pharmacists? as well too, because there's been a phase of pharmacy shortage or pharmacist shortage because everybody's falling out of pharmacy. There's not enough money into it, and everyone's doing other things, real estate or other career paths that they choose. Although they graduated as pharmacists, but they're like, nah, work hours are too long, standing on my feet, not enough financial comeback from it. And the handful that were there, they were literally 50-50. 50 were there just because it's a job, and 50 were there because they're extremely passionate about what they do. And out of these 50 that are extremely passionate about what they do, how am I going to stand out from the crowd and create something so that the remainder 75% is on top of it, inspired, firstly, educated, secondly, and the next batch of people that come out and take my place one day are extremely onto it, switched on, and actually love what they do as opposed to stand there and sell.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And I think when you're talking about this mentoring program that you started, maybe if you could give the listeners just a little bit of an understanding of what's involved. So you actually created this, is that correct?
Correct. So I've created a mentoring program. It's a 3 days in-house visit for year 11 and year 12 pharmacy students first. And when they come in, they spend 3 days with me and I give them a nice big workbook. And in the workbook is a mixture of business. Why is the shop laid out the way it's laid out? Why do you think this is in this spot as opposed to that spot? Labeling, understanding the products and how the products work all together as well too. And then there's a little bit of legality. So what is PBS? What's Medicare? What is S1, S2, S3, S4? What sort of products fall into it? And then we talk about prescriptions, the legalities of prescriptions as well too. And then at the end of the 3 day, get them to do a presentation about a healthcare topic, about a health promotion of their interest, do a full gondola in, put the products they want to put on it, and then tell me in 5 minutes or under 3 minutes, or however long they want to present for, how are they going to promote that particular health topic in a pharmacy community setting as well. So that went viral. It went so well. I've done that in Cottesloe, and then I've done that in Mount Pleasant. I had about 12 students in Mount Pleasant, and it was phenomenal. And we got such great feedback for it. And then I thought, okay, version 2.0, we're going to create a bigger, stronger one, but we're going to do that for my pharmacists. Such, not just my pharmacy students. They've been there, done that. It's not an internship program either because that's extensive, and I'd probably recommend going to a bigger body for your full internship, PSA or any of the fabulous bodies that are out. This one is post. You've done your internship, you've graduated. What? Now what? How are you going to do a step-by-step health promotion? How are you going to create healthy boundaries between your transition as a pharmacist and the person in charge? How are you going to create a better communication? How are you going to lead your team? And what sort of training should you do? So, for example, if you have juniors, you're not going to train them on topics that you're going to train your seniors on. You're going to lose their interest. How to do better. And then in the second chapter, we speak about leadership and my whiteboard and the whiteboard communication and what goes on the whiteboard and training topics. And then we speak about KPIs and how to tackle the shortage of medication that's going on at the moment, how to create separate KPIs, your short-term goals, your long-term goals, how to do simple calculations, how many staff members are needed in a space. What's that calculation? What does it look like? So you go into a space, you need to know what's the floor space like, how much stock you've got, and do a quick calculation to see how many staff members you need to have that floor space covered, for example. So it goes into 3 chapters, like a little interactive workbook as well too. But that's the latest project that I've done.
The latest project. So it sounds like that you've got more projects you want to bring on board as well.
300%.
But I love the fact that it started out targeting high school students. I think that's really important. And for me, with my pharmacy journey, I didn't want to be a pharmacist when I knew I wanted to do something in health. And I think that's one of those things. I actually really loved like mixing up potions as a kid. And also I loved this sounds a bit weird, but cutting things up. So I wanted to be a surgeon.
See, I feel like every pharmacist has an inner surgeon hidden inside them.
But then now I actually love wound care, right? So my passion for healing, I ended up doing some wound care services when I was working in community pharmacy. But I think the important thing is getting that exposure to students and young people on what different roles are out there and what you actually do. Because even when I first started in pharmacy, so I started working in a community pharmacy on the weekend, and I honestly thought it was just somewhere that you go when you're really sick and you get medicines, and my eyes were completely opened. And I think being able to target those young kids, and this is the thing that you can achieve, but getting them to do something really exciting in the beginning. You're not just making them clean shelves and put stock away, it's getting them involved. I think that's really powerful, and the impact that you can have on that, well, I'll say child, but young adult, can completely change their life trajectory, really.
And to be honest, I feel like you want to set the bar high for them as well too. Like when my customers come in and see my students, they're like, "Oh, free labor," and I'm like, "No, no, no." They're here to learn, and they're not doing anything but learn.
Yes, exactly.
And to be honest, I was that intern student. My first job in a pharmacy, I went to the same pharmacy to apply for the same job about 4 or 5 times until they're like, okay, fine, we'll have you, fine.
Why does that not surprise me, knowing your personality? I'm like, that definitely sounds like something you would have done.
Just get behind the counter, let's go. And all they wanted me to do was clean. Literally, I just had to stack labels in front of the products, pull forward, and clean. And that's all I did. I'm like, oh, really? But what does Panadol do? I don't know what Panadol does. So for every customer that came up to me and asked me a very simple question about I've got stomach ache, I had to go to the pharmacy and be like, this person wants something. This person wants Panadol. That person wants a cold and flu tablet. And I would just stand there and I'm trying to soak up that information. But my job was to go clean. So I thought, I'm going to flip this experience, and every single person that I work with, I'm going to try and get them to leave the pharmacist learning something new. And then that makes me, I put a responsibility on myself now. I have to learn something new all the time and be onto it as well. So I'm going myself, but I'm also going to make sure that my assistants have got something new that is in the back of their head, and they know that I'm onto it, so that they're going to be that they have to elevate and be onto it equally.
Exactly. Yep. I completely agree with you. And I think having that mindset of that pharmacy assistants or students or whoever's coming and working for you or volunteering, they're a health professional. And once we kind of see them in that light and give them the space to learn and grow, it can be really powerful. And I love seeing, even when I go in locum, I always try to teach people something. And you can just see that once they start learning, they can be better at their jobs. And once they're better at their jobs, they're happier, they're more productive, and it just goes on from there.
Right? They feel like, oh, I've learned something new now. I'm teaching you something new. And I feel very important now because I've got healthcare in my hands. And I've got the knowledge, which is super cool. It's very indirectly powerful. I think the secret power that we have, I reckon, as pharmacists, our ability to pass on information and be so trusted with it.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess speaking of passing on information and education, you've also contributed to a number of different publications. So for some young pharmacists that may be listening or students, you can even write articles and things like that as a pharmacist. So what has driven you to be passionate about writing, and how did you get the opportunity to write these articles?
My first blog, it was a blog that I contributed to first. I was asked by a wonderful lady in LA. She reached out and she has a online blog about healthcare, wellness, and beauty. And she asked me to write something about wellness as a general topic, and women's health and wellness more particularly. And she was very passionate about skincare. So I started typing and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed this. It's quite cool. I don't know how she found me. Maybe she followed me on Instagram or something. I truly don't know how she found me. And then when I did my first mentoring program for the year 11 and year 12 students, it was part of something I've learned at my university, Griffith University. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, look, the job that I had as a mentor at Griffith, I recreated something from it and turned it into a whole mentoring program for year 11 and year 12 students in WA. And the team in Griffith said, hold on, can you write this about? We need a whole article about this, and we need to type it up, and we want a photo of you, and we want your bio and everything, because this is really cool, because this is the planting the seed and growing it and seeing glow. And I got so excited, so I started doing that as well too. And then I've posted it, and then I worked on creating Instagram reels about healthcare, and then I practiced using my voice and learning how to say what, when to say it, when to stop, and be engaging. And then I got asked by a wonderful team from Wizard Pharmacy, where I work at the moment, do a few articles for them. And the first one was a career path. And then I did something about wards. And then I did something about respiratory healthcare. And then I worked on a few other things that kept going in women's health. And we got visited by the wonderful healthcare ambassador. No, it wasn't an ambassador. Forgive me. I'm going to say this one more time. Her name is Amber Jade Sanderson. She is WA's health minister. She came into the pharmacy for a surprise visit, and we didn't know she was coming in. And I believe she came in because we started promoting UTIs. And I think we were one of the first pharmacies to stock the UTI testing products to see if it was a positive or a negative. And we had the whole range. We had the iron, we had the UTIs. So we promoted that as part of the new topic of UTIs and women's healthcare. And then from there, I got asked to speak about how the 60-day regulation and the government bodies are shifting their mindsets, or we're seeing a shift in enhancing women's health with the enhancement of the healthcare programs that are you've been working on by the government at the moment. And then from there, I got asked to do an article for women's health and women pharmacy in WA, as well, to pioneering the people behind healthcare in WA, firstly, and then secondly, how all the awesome changes are happening to enhance women's healthcare secretly, which is really cool.
Pharmacy Daily is a proud supporter of Your Pharmacy Career podcast. If you're in the pharmacy world, it's a great resource to stay up to date with the latest industry news. To subscribe, just head to pharmacydaily.com.au to get the newsletter delivered straight to your inbox.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. And for those that are listening, I like hearing it's almost like a domino effect that you're putting some content out there, you started doing a few things, and then from that led to something else, to something else, to something else. It's, really interesting. And I know that has kind of happened to me in my career as well, that you just kind of say yes to something, and then next thing you know, I don't know, 10 steps later, you're somewhere where you never thought you would be.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you said yes to something, and then you thought to yourself, oh, maybe I should have not done that. And then next minute when you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did it. And this is going to create such a bigger network of people for me to connect with, which is so phenomenal.
Yes, I can definitely say that has happened to me many a time. And I've always struggled when I hear like motivational speakers or people talking to either young students or early career pharmacists, and they say that line, like, say yes to everything, because the other struggle that I have, I'm that type of person where I will literally say yes to everything, and then I get burnt out, or then I've spread myself too thin. And so I think sometimes too, saying yes is a good thing, but making sure that it aligns with your values and what you really believe in, I think. And so for you said yes to these things about like writing and education and teaching others, like that's really important to you. So I do kind of struggle sometimes when people are like, oh, just say yes to everything. Like, oh no, everyone's going to get burnt out.
So true. And it's so important to know when you can say no. believe, like, I reckon at one stage your plate will be full and you can't add any more to it. You have to remove a few things off before you take something else on as well too. And recently I was listening to an awesome podcast as well too, and then guest speaker said it's how important it is to sometimes not have goals when your plate is full. Like, stop having goals, stop creating any goals, because you've got so many projects that you're working on at the moment. And then once these projects are done, trust the nature of things, of how it's going to create a new opportunity to you that come your way without you having to set a goal that you're working to achieve towards.
Yes, I like that. And I think I'm going to start that because actually I was chatting to my husband a little while ago, and I'm always, well, we chat all the time. People listening to that, what I just said, they're like, oh, I was chatting to him at one point in time in life. But we're talking about how I'm that type of person where I'm always looking for the next thing. And I said to him, oh, why can't I just be that person that's just happy with where I am? Like, I've always got to be like the next goal, the next thing. So that's really good advice, to just kind of almost be in the moment as well, I think.
Yeah, so hard for people that are so driven like yourself, or people that have big passions for creating something so new and seeing a gap in every section, how you can naturally enhance that with your awesome skills, to stop and be like, okay, hang on a minute, let me finish what I've got first and then do the next thing. That is such a challenge.
Yes, that's right. But then again, I've kind of just embraced I am now. I'm like, you know what? Well, okay, I'll figure out a way of doing it. But also what you said about, finishing something, or almost like, okay, well, what can I actually drop? What can I pause and come back to? And I'll give one example. I've been doing my MBA for I don't even know how many years now. Like, I just need to get rid of it. I've got 2 subjects to go, but because I'm starting my own business and really focusing on building that, I decided, no, I need to just put that on pause for a moment and focus on building my business and doing that. And every now and again, a little voice inside me says, oh, like, you've only got 2 subjects to go, like, just finish it. Like, you're taking so long. And I'm like, at the end of the day, no one's like holding a gun to my head saying, you must finish this. It'll still be there when I'm ready. And so, I think it's okay to kind of, balance those balls a little bit.
100%, 100%. It's a blessing when we come to that mindset. We're like, oh, okay, I'll do that later. At that decision, oof, it's like off your shoulder. Something's taken off your shoulder. You're breathing a little bit easier.
Yes, exactly. I think now this might be a good time to maybe we're starting to talk about maybe some of the challenges and things like that. So I think for you, we haven't talked about this yet, but I know that you actually established a new pharmacy. So for those that are listening, one of the terms for like a new pharmacy is a greenfield site. So that means that it didn't exist. You're literally creating it from nothing. And so you've been a part of this. So walk us through how that journey went for you.
It was a phenomenal journey full of continuously being driven. So how it started was I got headhunted by this wonderful lady. Her name is Sally Parker, and she found me and said, can we catch up for a coffee? And then we caught up for a coffee, and there was an opportunity that came up and said, look, you're the right person for this. I think we need you to jump in, and we're opening a new pharmacy in Mount Pleasant. There's a medical center across the road, but here's your challenge. There are 6 pharmacies in the area.
Oh, wow. That's a challenge.
7. And I'm like, holy smokes, how am I gonna steal people from 7 pharmacies that have been well-established pharmacies for years to come to this pharmacy? And how am I gonna market for it? Like, what's my plan here? What's the community? Who am I gonna talk to? What am I gonna do? And the store was set up, and I worked in another sister store for that same owner before we jumped into the Mount Pleasant store. And I was there literally unpacking about 50 API containers, all of it, like all the medicines. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to lay this? We were there till like 9 p.m. because literally unpacking boxes. It was greenfield from scratch. And then I started setting the plan of, if you're got 7 people doing wonderfully, how are you going to stand out from the crowd? How are you going to connect to people differently? How are you going to make sure they come to you for a first visit, but then a continuous visit as well too? And we set a goal that we're going to have 1,000 scripts on file when we turn 2, before the pharmacy turned 2 years old. And it was a team challenge. And we were a small team of 5. There was 3 pharmacists and 2 assistants, and we lost a few assistants along the way and added a few assistants along the way as well, too, as you do. And we got to 1,000 scripts on file. And truly, it was community networking, going to the GPs myself and going for visits and actually saying, hey, I'm the new girl on the block. I can do this, and that for you. I can do specialized compounding, and I made a workbook for the doctors. I've given them script pads that are ready to go. You just need to tick what you want and then sign it off. So I'm creating new initiatives for them and new things that nobody else has. I did a lot of homework to see what services are out there and not compete with them.
Yes.
Like there was a fabulous pharmacy that does compounding. So I don't do compounding. I'll outsource. There's an also brilliant pharmacy that did sleep apnea. So I'm like, nope, not going to touch sleep apnea. This is their area. I'm not going to take that away. I'm going to take away skincare. I'm going to take away heart care and Holter. I'm going to take away all the students in the area because there's 3-4 high schools around. There's a primary school as well too. So I worked with all the primary schools and said, look, I'm going to do your vaccinations at no charge. And this is how we started our relationship. And then anybody who got an asthma attack, quick come in. Anybody that's got an anaphylactic reaction to a nut allergy, quick, go home and come and see Nancy. And then I became the face of the pharmacy. And then coincidentally as well too, in February 2023, I believe, was when our borders were finally open and we're allowed to travel. So we created a COVID home kit and we put inside it a set of all the products that you need. And by extreme coincidence, Channel 7 filmed us. Do that. And then we went viral again as well too, because the pharmacy was a franchise. So they did do a lot of marketing, but they did for the entire franchise group as opposed to a single pharmacy. So I thought it was up to me to make this place shine. And we worked with a church close by as well too. And then we started working with the cafe, and then we started creating an affiliation program. So if you work in the area, you get a 5% off. Come and see Nancy. And then I worked with the GPs that are passionate about skincare, and I created a really cool anti-aging formula for them. And then we did a few skincare things for them. So trial for their patients as well, to that suffering with acne. And then we did that as well too. Then we adopted Holter monitoring as well. And then we all went out gradually over the years. And then of course we had all the events. We held them for biggest morning tea, cancer awareness, the 50K walk. We did a lot of community events to engage our customers, to engage the students in the area to come and do the mentoring program, to engage the other bodies in the community, from churches to primary schools to medical centers as well too. So it was a multi-layer, personalized plan, so that you look with each group of people separately to let them know, A, that you're here, you exist, you're the new kid on the block, and B, come and I'll look after you, but you can truly trust me, because once I look after you, I will look after you forever. That's knowing everybody by name. So that was my trick, because I've got an awesome memory and I know everybody's name. So when everybody comes in, I know them by name. And they felt that connectivity as well too. And now they're not saying we're going to go to the pharmacy, we're going to go to Nancy's. We're going to go to Nancy's and get a few things, and we'll be home soon. So I created just a big bond between healthcare and being a representative of reliable, trusted healthcare, and connecting to the customers and then their grandkids and then their children and everybody in the circle.
I love that though. It's putting that authentic connection with your customers, and that creating that sense of community. And for those of you that don't know anything about Mount Pleasant in WA, which I didn't, I just Googled it, the population is only around 8,000 people. So to already have 6 pharmacies with that little amount of people, that's not an easy feat. So yeah, well done to you and the team. But I think what you said that you did first, and if you want to use a correct term, you can say that you basically did a competitor analysis and understood what was already in the market and how you can differentiate yourself. So yeah, that's really interesting. And the other thing that I wanted to pick up on, part of a franchise, and you talked about how they did the national marketing. And for those that don't understand maybe marketing, when you're part of a large franchise, the marketing, the purpose of that is really around brand awareness of the brand and the franchise, not necessarily about the individual services or the people in that pharmacy. So when you said that's really up to you, that's so correct. So you lean on the national marketing of the franchise to really differentiate you and people to connect with your pharmacy. You then went and focused on the things that your pharmacy does differently.
Correct. And that's, I think, the beauty of franchise as well, too. You've got this wonderful umbrella that you're under with a lot of benefits. But at the same time, as you said, it's entirely up to you to market for you and your clientele. Because my clientele will probably be different to the pharmacy down the road's clientele. We're probably going to be to another suburb clientele as well, too. And what sort of health conditions you see in that area. So for nicotine replacement therapy, for instance, my clientele is 90% elderly and the 10% is newborn moms. Don't have teenagers and young adults so much in my community that I'm targeting. So it's not going to be beneficial for them, for instance. And like if you work in a mall, for example, where you get all the teenagers that are coming in, then that could be your target, for instance. So that's the beauty of personalized marketing for your own community and for your own and what you're interested in as well too as a pharmacist. Like if you love cardiac health, then what are you going to do that's going to differentiate you from the other pharmacy down the road, but also market it for your own pharmacy, your own space, regardless of what umbrella you're under.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I think I want to ask you one last sort of major question before we wrap up. And I think I definitely will have to have you back on the show because there's so many things that we could talk about and drill into. So don't worry, those that are listening, we will have her back. But I think the main thing I wanted to, I guess, pick your brain on last is about you've had to adapt to many different roles and environments, right? So throughout your career and your life, you moved from Queensland to Perth. You worked in a number of different environments. For you, how do you think, being able to adapt to the environment that you're in plays a role in being successful in your pharmacy career?
I would probably say I'll probably cut this into two sections. I was working with a lovely lady. She told me so much. She was in her 50s when I first took on my first managing role when I was 32 or 30. And she said to me, "You're a brilliant pharmacist, but you will always be successful if you continue to remember that everyone in this world is replaceable."
Mm-hmm.
So don't put yourself on a pedestal. You're brilliant. People come to see you to find you. But as long as you keep remembering that everybody is replaceable and then there's always better, you will always be successful. So I'll probably put that one section that you got to keep that mindset that regardless of how passionate you are and how adaptable you are as well too, you're not the only person that can do this and everybody around you can be inspired by you to do something similar. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, I believe, is to be passionate first and then the finances will follow as well, regardless of whatever stage you are in your life. If you truly love it and if you truly want to see something succeed, go all in. Don't go half in. Don't go half in, half out. Go all in. Everything. Be passionate. Give it your 120%. Your 100% is not enough. Give it 120%. Be passionate about it. Give it your all. Go on fourth gear. And then from then, everything else will follow through naturally. For example, my boss, when we first opened the farm, he goes like, "So how much have we done today?" I say, "I don't know. I don't look." And he was like, "Really? How come?" I said, "Because that will naturally come. It'll grow. I'm not going to look at the numbers every single day and drive my head in with it. I'm going to look at how many people I served today and do I remember all of them? And are they going to remember me next time or not?" because that's the bigger outcome. Because if I'm planting the seed now, later on is going to come and keep growing as well too. And the more seeds you plant, the bigger perspective you have, and the more you are more flexible, and like you're the river, you're the water in it as well too. You got to go up and down with it. You got to go right and left with it, but you got to go full flow. You got to go 120. You can't go 100, you got to go 120. And then everything else will follow, but you're never good at, like, you're not the only person that can do it. Everybody else can do it as well.
Yeah, I think that's so true. It's that humility, right? So being passionate, but then also having that humility to, kind of keep you grounded, right?
Correct. Keep you grounded. You're phenomenal. You're great. You're doing an awesome job, but also just remember that you want someone else to do an even better job, and that's the person you're training to you take your place.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. Like, it's that succession planning and growing others to be even better than what you were.
Correct. Exactly. Like, grow, give it 120. Don't stop at 100. 100 is not good enough. 100 is what everyone's doing. You want to do 120. Go.
Go. Absolutely. Now, Nancy, we have been chatting for a little while now, and we do need to wrap up, but that's okay. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you and hearing about your journey, all from your mentorship work, your educational contributions, challenges you've overcome in starting a new pharmacy with all the competition around you, but building like a supportive team around you and really focusing on the growth of them. Now, you do have a special offer for some of our listeners, which is really exciting. So tell me about that.
I do. So for all our wonderful listeners, I do have my workbook, which is Level Up Pharmacist Workbook. It's a 3-month interactive workbook. The first month I will give away for free at no charge for everyone listening today, and they will get their PDF copy. If they want to work on it by themselves, they're more than welcome to. If they want to interact with me, we have a WhatsApp group that we chat on and we ask questions and then pick each other's brains on it as well. So the first month, which is Pharmacist Basics, which is covering things like how to overcome stock take issues and how to set the ground rules for training other team members as well too. That first month, 4 weeks, about 10 exercises at absolute no charge for everyone listening today.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Nancy, for giving that offer to our listeners. I think that will be really valuable to everyone. So if you do want to take up the offer, we'll put the information in the show notes. You can also connect with Nancy on LinkedIn and Instagram. We'll put the details in the show notes as well. Now, to all our listeners, if you've enjoyed our conversation, make sure you subscribe to our podcast, share it with your colleagues. And to you, Nancy, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Thank you for having me. I had such a blast. You're such a wonderful person to talk to. Like, I'm sure we can do this every day, all day. Like, if you and I worked in the same office, my goodness, it's going to be the best.
That would be so much fun. And let's make that happen. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Christy.
Thanks for tuning in to Your Pharmacy Career Podcast, proudly sponsored by the Pharmaceutical Society of Australia. The PSA is committed to empowering pharmacists through advocacy, innovation, and industry-leading professional development. To become a member or learn more about how the PSA can support your career, visit www.psa.org.au. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with your colleagues, and join us next time as we continue to explore your pharmacy career journey.